Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Our mission today is to get right into an ancient and really high-stakes political drama. We're talking about the initial, and I have to say, catastrophic confrontation between Moses, Aaron, and the Pharaoh of Egypt.
Right.
We've been through a stack of sources detailing this moment, and what you find is not just a story of resistance, but really it's a masterclass in strategic counterinsurgency.
That's precisely the tension, isn't it? This wasn't a simple, request and refusal. Not at all.
No.
Pharaoh's response was a calculated, immediate political and psychological counterstrike. His goal was to do more than just deny the demand.
He wanted to go further.
Much further. He wanted to destroy the morale of the entire enslaved population and completely delegitimize Moses and Aaron before they could even begin to lead.
And that's the core paradox we're tracking for you. The moment of divine intervention, this promise of deliverance, it immediately resulted in a massive increase in suffering for the very people who were supposed to be saved.
Things got worse. A lot worse.
We're looking right at that inflection point where things get definitively worse before they could possibly get better. Okay, so let's unpack this moment of clash.
Well, that's good.
So Moses and Aaron, they walk into the highest court in the land, and they're not there as petitioners, they're acting as heralds.
That's a key distinction.
They deliver the command directly from their source of authority. They say, "Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, let my people go, that they may hold a feast unto me in the wilderness." It's a clear, bold demand.
And it's framed as, temporary leave for a religious festival.
Right.
And Pharaoh's reaction is just a perfect demonstration of absolute sovereignty meeting a challenge to its jurisdiction. He doesn't even engage in a theological debate.
He doesn't.
He just asks flat out, "Who is the Lord that I should obey his voice to let Israel go? I know not the Lord, neither will I let Israel go."
It's just, boom, shut down. What's so fascinating here is that the rejection is immediate and it's categorical. It's not about logistics or schedules.
No, it's about authority. He is stating, for the record, that this Hebrew God holds zero power, zero jurisdiction over the realm of Egypt or its ruler. Full stop.
It's a complete dismissal.
Absolutely. His primary statement is one of political finality. So, seeing that this approach has failed, Moses and Aaron, they try to pivot. They offer a secondary justification.
Different angle.
Yeah, they suggest this necessary 3 days journey is for sacrifice, lest their God fall upon us with pestilence or with the sword.
Okay, let's pause on that pivot for a second. They shift the argument from something positive, a feast, a celebration, to something very negative, to avoiding a divine penalty. Why do you think they move the goalposts like that?
Well, I think it's an attempt to make the situation relatable to a king. A feast is.
Right.
It's an unknown variable to Pharaoh. It means nothing to him.
Right.
But the threat of pestilence or sword, that's recognizable. That's natural disaster. That's warfare.
That's a language of power.
It is. They're trying to frame their departure as a necessary act of risk management for everyone involved, hoping earthly logic might succeed where a divine command just failed completely.
But Pharaoh, being the ultimate political animal, he just immediately reframes their request entirely.
He does.
He assesses their efforts not as a religious plea or some kind of risk management, but as pure disruption. Disruption of the state economy. He fires back, "Wherefore do ye, Moses and Aaron, let the people from their works get you unto your burdens."
He's an administrator first and foremost. He views this divine request as nothing more than inciting idleness.
For laziness.
Exactly. And he even uses the size of the population against them. "Behold, the people of the land now are many," to justify his fear of allowing any downtime. A massive idle population is politically dangerous.
So by linking this request for religious observance to idleness, he creates the perfect political justification for what he's about to do, for his cruel.
The perfect justification.
It's one thing to dismiss a demand, but it's a whole other thing to counterattack with this level of calculated cruelty. How did he translate that rejection into an operational policy designed to crush dissent?
This is the strategic masterpiece of the whole episode, and it's pure political calculation. Pharaoh decides to respond to the promise of deliverance with the reality of immediate, agonizing oppression.
He's going to make them hurt for asking.
And his command to the taskmasters isn't random at all. It's designed to achieve two critical things at the same time.
Okay, so what are those two directives?
First, he removes the crucial resource. Ye shall no more give the people straw to make brick, as heretofore. Let them go and gather straw for themselves.
Now, for anyone who doesn't know, straw isn't just a filler, right? This kind of ancient brickmaking, it's essential.
It's a binder. It distributes the tensile stress. It controls how the clay shrinks and dries. It stops it from cracking. Withholding it fundamentally disrupts the entire manufacturing process.
So he removes the key material. But if he's so strategic, why introduce this complex, time-consuming labor change? Wouldn't just, I don't know, executing the leaders be a more immediate deterrent?
But that's the brilliance of the strategy. You see, killing the leaders creates martyrs. This strategy, this creates internal fracturing.
It turns them against each other.
Exactly. And the second, even crueler directive makes this crystal clear. And the tale of the bricks, which they did make heretofore, ye shall lay upon them. Ye shall not diminish aught thereof.
So 100% output with zero resources provided. The complexity, the difficulty, that is the point. It guarantees failure.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
It forces the enslaved population to spend huge amounts of energy just sourcing inferior material while the quota remains absolute. And Pharaoh's justification for this is the ultimate spin.
He says they're just idle.
They be idle. He claims they cry to sacrifice because they be idle, and he commands that more work be laid upon the men, that they may labor therein, and let them not regard vain words.
That phrase, vain words, that's the heart of his information warfare campaign, isn't it?
Absolutely.
He isn't just saying Moses and Aaron are wrong. He's labeling their divine message as empty, trivial noise that distracts from productive labor. He's using the state's administrative machinery to control the narrative.
And the physical reality of the command, well, it instantly sealed their despair. The people had to scatter abroad throughout all the land of Egypt to gather stubble instead of straw.
And stubble is not straw.
Not even close. Stubble, the short, rough remnants of stalks left in the field. It's exponentially harder to gather and process. It degrades the quality of the brick, and crucially, it triples the time needed for the same amount of work.
Yet the taskmasters, our sources say, they hasted them, demanding they fulfill the daily tasks as when there was straw.
It's an impossible self-policing labor equation. It shifts the entire burden of oppression directly onto the enslaved people's own shoulders.
Which brings us to the next stage. Because the immediate, brutal consequence of this decree, it didn't fall on the general laborers first. It fell on a specific, targeted group.
A very specific group, the hierarchy within the enslaved population itself.
You're talking about the officers of the children of Israel. Who exactly were these people?
Our sources suggest these were the Shodarim, a vital layer of internal management drawn from the Hebrew population itself.
So like foremen.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
They were responsible for maintaining order, coordinating labor, and, most importantly, reporting the quotas to the Egyptian taskmasters. They were the key link between the state and the workforce.
So by targeting and beating these officers for failing to meet an impossible quota, Pharaoh wasn't just punishing ordinary workers. He was systematically dismantling the existing Hebrew leadership structure and forcing it to fail in public.
Precisely. This is the calculated use of what you might call horizontal violence. Pharaoh's Egyptian taskmasters didn't have to beat every single worker. They just had to beat the Hebrew managers, the Shodarim. The goal was to force those officers to inflict the impossible pressure onto their own people or suffer the consequences themselves.
And this leads to the officers' desperate appeal. They go directly to Pharaoh, right? Hoping he'll recognize the logistical impossibility of what he's demanded.
They do. They pleaded, "Wherefore dealest thou thus with thy servants? There is no straw given unto thy servants, and behold, thy servants are beaten, but the fault is in thine own people." They're trying to appeal to his sense of administrative fairness.
As if he has any.
But Pharaoh is just ruthless. He doesn't deny the logistical difficulty. He simply returns to his political accusation, shutting down any hope of redress. He just repeats it.
Ye are idle.
Ye are idle, ye are idle. Therefore ye say, let us go and do sacrifice to the Lord. And he reiterates the decree. Go therefore now and work. For there shall no straw be given you, yet shall ye deliver the tale of bricks.
He makes sure that the officers understand that their increased suffering is a direct result of their leaders' vain words. This is the moment where his psychological warfare really pays off.
It is. The officers leave that confrontation realizing they were in evil case, that the situation was fundamentally, catastrophically worse than before Moses and Aaron ever showed up.
And their despair, immediately turns outward. It creates a profound crisis of authority.
It really does. They confront Moses and Aaron because now they see them as the cause of their beatings and their renewed danger.
They just unleash on them.
Completely. Unleash their bitterness, saying, "The Lord look upon you and judge, because you have made our Savior to be abhorred in the eyes of Pharaoh, to put a sword in their hand to slay us."
That is a staggering line. A sword in their hand to slay us. They are literally blaming Moses and Aaron for giving Pharaoh the pretext, the sword, to oppress and maybe even execute them.
It just burns all the trust that Moses and Aaron had built. It completely validates Pharaoh's claim that this new leadership only brings misfortune.
And this leads, naturally, to Moses' own personal crisis of faith, a moment of deep doubt and, well, theological confusion.
After facing the immediate failure of his mission, the total collapse of his authority, he turns back to his divine source, and he challenges the outcome.
He essentially demands an explanation for why the mission was so counterproductive.
Yeah.
He asks, "Lord, wherefore hast thou so evil entreated this people?
Yeah.
Why is it that thou hast sent me?" He's asking, if this was supposed to be deliverance, why did it result in immediate, intensified cruelty?
And the heavy conclusion of this whole initial effort is a complete admission of failure on the ground. Moses just summarizes the undeniable facts. "For since I came to Pharaoh to speak in thy name, he hath done evil to this people, neither hast thou delivered thy people at all."
Wow.
It just emphasizes that the very first attempt at freedom led only to intensified oppression, to beatings, and to crushing despair for the people he was sent to save.
So when we step back, what does this all mean for us? This deep dive reveals Pharaoh's immediate counter-strategy as really a model of control. He delegitimizes the leaders, and he fractures the cohesion of the enslaved population.
By multiplying their burdens, he successfully shifted their immediate focus from the grand promise of freedom right back to the sheer, grinding difficulty of daily survival.
It's a powerful lesson in what happens when you confront absolute power. Our sources make it so clear that the path to profound change often involves a sharp, immediate deterioration of circumstances before any kind of breakthrough can happen.
Yeah, the first move toward freedom did not bring negotiation or release. It brought the whip down harder on the backs of the Hebrew officers.
And that leaves us with a final provocative thought for you. Given that the suffering immediately intensified and that Moses and Aaron were directly blamed for putting that sword in their hand to slay us, what psychological toll did that spectacular, undeniable failure take on the entire Hebrew population?
And maybe more importantly, how did Moses and Aaron manage to regain any shred of authority after being blamed for causing such misery? How do you convince a deeply smart population to follow you again after that? That's the critical question we're left with to consider.